2023 Urbandale City Council meeting. I will call the meeting to order and ask Nicole to take roll call, please.
Blake?
Here.
Carberry Montgomery?
Here.
Kroll?
Here.
McBurney?
Here.
Obrecht?
Here.
Thank you.
All right, please stand as you're able for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Urbandale is a national leader in character counts, endeavoring at all times to promote and model the principles of trustworthiness, respect, responsibility, fairness, caring, and citizenship. In conducting tonight's meeting, we expect that all participants will act in a respectful manner consistent with these principles. Item 2 is to approve the agenda. I ask for a motion in a second. Second by McBurney, second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. All right, that passes. Thank you. All right, item 3, presentations. First is a proclamation for Black History Month. I'd like to read the proclamation for Black History Month. Whereas the City of Urbandale is proud to recognize February as Black History Month, this is a time to honor and celebrate the legacy of Black Americans whose power to lead, to overcome, and to expand the meaning and practice of American democracy has helped our nation become a more fair and just society. And whereas Black History Month is an opportunity for all citizens of Urbandale to acknowledge and reflect upon the heritage of Black Americans and to recommit ourselves to promoting diversity, equality, and justice in our community. And whereas this country was established upon the profound but simple idea that all people are created equal and should be treated equally throughout their lives. Now therefore I, Robert Andeweg, Mayor of the City of Urbandale, do hereby proclaim the month of February as Black History Month and urge all residents of Urbandale to participate in our scheduled events that recognize the vital role that Black Americans have had in the shaping of our nation. I'm going to sign this. And AJ, I think you.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of council, to commemorate the month, we have a number of events planned, and I have some copies for you here in case you need them. But at the, between City Hall and the library, February 14th to the 22nd, 2 library book clubs are reading, I'm sorry, yes, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. On February 14th and 22nd, 2 library book clubs are reading books of African-American authors that explores issues on racism and diversity. Facilitated discussions are open to anyone. February 15th, the library is offering the showing of the 2022 movie Till. February 21st, the library is promoting free virtual events sponsored by the State and County Bar Association commemorating the 155th year of the 14th Amendment and its legacy. The library has posted artwork by famous African Americans throughout the children's area. The library is also sponsoring several book displays on works by African American authors and filmmakers. Finally, the city will be sponsoring a lunchtime viewing of the Iowa PBS documentaries on Black history in Iowa for city employees. We will also be working with the Civil Rights Commission to begin a long-term effort to collect stories and documentation of historical Black experiences and leaders in the City of Urbandale. So we hope that you have time to take in some of these events, particularly the viewing, the one that we'll be viewing here with city employees, and encourage them. We'll be providing lunch, and we'll be having the documentaries by IPBS. So we'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Do you know what the date is?
On the city viewing?
Yeah.
Not yet. We're gonna work out our venues, and then we'll get it out so we have enough lead time for our employees. But we will let you know.
I just want to thank you for providing this. This is very appropriate and appreciated.
Okay, you're welcome.
Great. All right, we will move on then to a presentation from Catch Des Moines. We have in our midst tonight Greg Edwards from the Catch Des Moines, President and CEO of Catch Des Moines. So Greg, the floor is yours. Urbandale resident too.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I informed some of your fellow council people that our neighborhood was a little rough for the last 8 years since you moved in, but pleasure to be here in front of all of you for our annual report. I also have with me my colleague, our Vice President of Marketing, Brock Conrad, who will talk a little bit as well because he knows all this marketing stuff way better than this old man. So, but great to be with you. Always been great to be a resident here in Urbandale. Things have turned around greatly, I think, since the last time I stood before you, just post-COVID. And just a little bit of a reminder how we're funded and how the income and economic impact comes in through tourism. Obviously, people travel, they spend dollars at attractions, restaurants, et cetera, entertainment venues. They stay overnight in hotels. When they check out of the hotel, they receive their bill. They pay a 7% hotel motel tax. 2% or 2/7 of that comes to the CVB. 2/7 goes to Bravo, and then the 3/7 do stay here with the City of Urbandale. We've recently hired a company called Arrivalist, which is a big national, actually worldwide company that does research on visitors and visitor spending, and they do this for probably every major city across the country anyway. And they can do a really sharp analysis on how many visitors actually come, where those visitors are going, where they're staying, all these kind of different data points. So they gave us the number that last year we had 5.8 million visitors to our metro area. And we can break that down at nearly 900,000, I think it was 889,000, actually were here in Urbandale at some point as well. Length of stay of the visitors is 2.8 nights per visitor. Another interesting fact that we found out is the origin by state, Iowa obviously being the strongest, Iowa, Des Moines being the capital, and a lot of the rural Iowans come here to shop and play and what have you. Minnesota, number 2, number 3, Illinois, number 4, Nebraska, followed by Missouri, Wisconsin, Texas, California, believe it or not, Kansas, and then Colorado in the top 10. So it really shows that we've really increased, I think, our demographics of bringing in more people really from all over the country. Some really good data. The top
Greg,
points.
can I ask you a question
Yes,
about that
you
last
bet.
slide?
Sure.
What percentage is Iowa versus?
We book a lot of our bigger conventions, sporting events. We're booking 2, 3, 4 years in advance now. We have bookings now all the way out to 2030. Specifically for Urbandale, we sent 67 leads to your hotel properties here. 30 events were actually held here during the year, and there are 25 future events booked. The next slide will show you specifically what some of those were. This isn't all of them, just the short list kind of. Future Business Leaders of America were here, USA Probation, Des Moines Science Fiction Society, the Midwest Weavers, American Association of University Women, and USSSA, which you're probably aware does a ton of business at Walker Johnson Park with softball, baseball, and we support them heavily too financially just because of what they do for the metro area. Future events that are going to impact you greatly this year, I'll show you another slide here coming up. AAU Junior Olympic Games will be here again in August. World Pork Expo, of course, in June, impacts the entire community. And the Iowa Volleyball Regionals will have great impact on your community as well. That's just to name a few again. Big banner year. I don't know if you saw some of the news stories last week. We produced a new sports video, which unfortunately, I don't know if this thing's gonna play, which is my fault because I put it on a jump drive, but we'll send you this new sports video because it's really, really cool. But big events, big sporting events. Obviously, NCAA is just right around the corner. Councilman Obrecht was just telling me he saw some kind of a...
The perfect Des Moines bracket?
Yes.
Yeah. Kansas, K-State, Iowa, Iowa State.
Yeah. Boy, if that happens, come on down, I'll buy you all a beer on Court Avenue.
If we can find you in the mass.
Exactly. But some really great events. Obviously, NCAA started off the year, excuse me, very strong with a lot of the ag-related shows that we do. Of course, state tournaments then will be coming in actually in a couple weeks, state wrestling and all that good stuff. We're going to host the National Veterans Golden Age Games this year, which is a really cool event. It'll bring in about 1,000 to 1,200 veterans that are either disabled or just senior citizens or what have you, and they put on kind of a junior Olympic style competition amongst themselves, but kind of a coup to bring that in. We'll host, of course, Ironman again this year. It'll be a half Ironman in June. You probably saw the big news, Ragbri will be coming through Des Moines. And that's going to be bigger. It's the 50th year. So, I mean, they really are anticipating easily 50,000 people. And it could be in terms of up to 100,000 people during that night. And it could be a crazy, crazy time. So you might want to pick up some new spandex. I know Mayor's got his, so.
Do you know at what point, or at this point, where the, like, headquarters are?
They're going to camp at Waterworks Park. And I believe the concert will be out there too. We'll actually learn a lot more tomorrow morning at 8 o'clock as we meet with the Ragbri folks. And they're going to announce, at least to us, I hope publicly, who the band is that they're going to bring in. And I think it's going to be a pretty big band, maybe more my generational, but you guys will recognize the name. We've got, you can see all the rest of the great stuff coming in. Even stuff like Hy-Vee IndyCar, which is over in Newton at the Iowa Speedway, big impact on Des Moines. Couple of new, really cool things, believe it or not, Savannah Bananas. If you've seen any of their videos, they're the Harlem Globetrotters of baseball. And it was interesting because Sam Burnaby calls me up, the president of the Iowa Cubs, and says, well, they're interested in coming to Des Moines, but they're not going to come here till they talk to you. And I said, what do I have to do with it? Well, of course, they want a little bit of help. And so I talked to their promoter, and we did give them a little help. And it's going to be a great event. They're going to play 2 games here, Friday, Saturday night. They've already sold out the tickets, I think. So it'll be a fun time having them here. Another interesting group you might see at the bottom, there's the Major League Quad Ball. If any of your kids are Harry Potter fans, this is Quidditch. And they were using the name Major League Quidditch, and then the Harry Potter people came in and said, no, you can't use our name. So now it's called Quad Ball. But we've got a Major League Quad Ball tournament coming to town, as well as a USA Rugby women's tournament coming to town too. So lots of really unique stuff, and it's going to be a good year. I'm going to turn it over to Brock to say a few things.
So this slide here just shows a little bit of the success we had marketing-wise the past year in 21, 22. As you see it there at the top, we had over 1.5 million website visitors to our website. It's a huge increase, obviously, COVID year, after the COVID year. And then moving forward, it's by far the most visits we've had to our website in the history of our site. So we're really excited about that. There on the left, you can see a little bit of information about our social media presence and how we're using that to leverage a lot of the great content that we're creating and advertising. And then also we do a lot of PR and media efforts. Our team spends a lot of time making sure that we're getting Des Moines, greater Des Moines region, shown not only locally, regionally, but also nationally, and even sometimes internationally, depending on what the event is. So they do a really great job, and I'm really proud of the success that they've had over the past year. To go a little bit on what Greg was talking with the new data points that we have with Arrival List, the great thing that we're able to do with that is, for one, we're able to maximize the amount of dollars that we're using properly, advertising-wise. So as you can see there, last year we spent over $1.1 million advertising, not only for our sales team to bring in those events, but also leisure travelers, families, young adults to come in. And we do that through an array of marketing mediums. You can see there, I won't go through all of them, but 4 or 5 years ago, very limited to what we were doing marketing-wise with TV, print, some digital, lot bigger array of what we're doing now. The reasons why we can do that, one is the arrival list data that we're getting. We're able to find the right customers, the right people that want to visit here, track them, how they're consuming media, and actually place these great content pieces that we have on all those different mediums. So I think that's why we kind of see our numbers keep going up and up and up, and seeing Des Moines and greater Des Moines as a reason to visit here. And so I don't know if this will work. If it doesn't, Greg, you can go to your next slide. Yeah, I don't think it will. Yeah, it might not. So this video it's a 30-second new spot that we have with all the great sports stuff that we've been bringing in recently with all the events. It's a great 30-second commercial that we're going to start launching into our advertising campaign. So
We could act it out for you if you prefer, but. Really, in the last slide, we've been asking as we visit different cities to ask hotel owners or restaurateurs and what have you to give us a quote on their experience with what we do. And Paul Rottenberg, who Mayor knows very well, is on our executive board. Primary owner, your Hilton Garden Inn here, owns the Orchestrate Company, which is Centro and Malo and Zombie Burger and all that. Gave us a quote here for his support in what we do. On that note, I will be quiet and answer any questions.
All right, that's great.
I told your clerk that she had me down for 1 minute, so I looked at the time on your agenda. It said 6:02 to 6:03. I was like, woo.
Notice occupancies are trending up. When do you kind of start seeing hotels start building again? Is it over 60% in the metro, or what are they kind of targeting?
Yeah, 60 is probably the good number. And occupancy is up, but you know, as I've been telling everybody, business travel is still not back where it was. And that's really I mean, if it weren't for the leisure and the group stuff that's coming in, it would be still pretty blue days. So, you know, we're urging, especially the big companies out there, get back to face-to-face meetings, you know?
And then the other is, what are we missing, I guess, from when you survey people in the metro? They come to town, they do their event. What's that ancillary thing that they're kind of missing, if that comes out at all in your surveys?
I don't know that we really get a lot of feedback on, you know, wish you had this or that sort of thing. I mean, we've got so many good venues here now, and we continue to do, you know, and I applaud you guys for moving forward with your new Recplex idea. But yeah, I really think they're still very surprised when they come to Des Moines, people that have never been here, which is a good thing. And that's why a lot of these new things we're bringing in, you know, it brings in new faces that probably never even thought about being here. So it's all good, yeah.
Any other questions? All right.
Okay.
Thank you, Greg. Thanks, Brock.
Thank you guys very much.
We just had our,
Anticipated a sellout crowd tonight, but they must have known I was speaking.
thank you again for all you do, though, to leverage everything. I've been on the board for a lot of years, and I can attest that this is a very effective organization for
Past
leveraging.
chair.
Yep.
Couple times. You want to be chair again, by the way?
We can talk about it, yeah. All right, thanks, guys. All right, item 4 is Citizens Forum. This is the opportunity to address the council on something not a part of tonight's agenda. Is there anyone here tonight that would like to address the council? All right, seeing none, we'll move on then. Item 5, to adopt the minutes first from the January 24 meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Carberry and Montgomery,
Second.
second by Obrecht. Discussion, please vote. All right, that passes. Then the January 28 meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Obrecht. Second by McBurney. Discussion, please vote. Okay, that passes. Then the January 30 meeting.
So moved.
Motion by Obrecht. Second by Blake. Discussion, please vote. 1 is a public hearing and consideration of bids for the 2023 PCC patch program. Phase 1, the public notice for this was published in the January 2023 Des Moines Register. Ask for any objections to that. Notice is published.
There were none.
Ask for motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Motion by Kroll. Second by McBurney. Discussion, please vote. All right, that passes. And introduces is our Director of Engineering and Public Works, John Larson. John?
Good evening, Mayor, members of the council. This is our bids for the phase 1 of our PCC patch program. Last Wednesday, February 1st, we received 5 bids for the project. We're recommending the low bid from the Concrete Contracting Company, Inc. in the amount of $1,599,206.60.
Can you go back just real quick? I just wanted to see it again, John.
Sure.
Okay, thanks. All right.
So their low bid was approximately $45,000, or about 2.9% more than our engineer's estimate. With this one, we'll be patching approximately 15,745 square yards at 175 locations, and we anticipate the work being done by September 22nd. Would also like to note this is the same contractor that did our large patching program last year. And then just to kind of show where the patches will be this year, at the top of the screen is the interstate. 72nd Street is on your left-hand side, and then Meredith down below. So most of our patches are happening on Lochner Drive and then kind of to the north and east of there. So with that, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
All right, thanks, John. Any questions for John on this? All right, we are in public hearing on this item. Would anyone like to address the council on this item? Okay, seeing none, is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by Carberry Montgomery. Discussion, please vote. Okay, that passes. There are 3 items for consideration.
Motion to approve resolution 020-2023.
Motion by McBurney.
Second.
Second by Obrecht. Discussion, please vote. It passes.
Motion to approve resolution 021-2023.
Motion by McBurney,
Second.
second by Obrecht. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
And motion to approve resolution 022-2023.
Motion by McBurney.
Second.
Second by Obrecht. Discussion, please vote. And that passes. All right, thank you. Item 7.2 is a public hearing and consideration of bids on the 2023 PCC Patch Program Phase 3. The public notice for this was published in the January 20, 2023 Des Moines Register. As for any objections to that notice?
There were none.
As for motion to open the public hearing,
So moved.
Second.
motion by Kroll, second by Obrecht. Discussion, please vote. All right, that passes. John?
So this is our bids for the Phase 3 of our PCC patch program. In case you're wondering, Phase 2 bids next week. So we'll hopefully be back in 2 weeks with those bids. So this also was on last Wednesday, February 1st, and we received 7 bids on this project. The low bid was from Brothers Concrete in the amount of $470,719.10. This one was approximately $26,000 or 5% less than our engineer's estimate. With this one, we'll be patching approximately 5,255 square yards of patching and then at 96 locations, and we're anticipating it being done by September 8th. This project is in the Timberline Village area, so that's got Aurora Avenue on the north, 142nd Street on the west end side. And with that, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
I guess used to break them up kind of $1 million increments programs, and it was kind of $1.5 million and $500,000 this time. Seems like the pricing on the smaller one came in better. Do we need to break them up more?
No, actually, we've always kind of tried to be in the $1.5 million and a half. Just, I think last year we got a little bit closer to the $1 million and the $1 million. So we usually try to do one big project, one smaller. The reason we try not to get too many is just our staff, because they all go on at the same time. Whereas the Phase 2 was actually some asphalt work at the roundabout, and that should be done in a matter of a few weeks. So it's not a large time for the staff to try to inspect. I think part of the difference is too, is for instance, the smaller one, we do get some contractors that are newer, smaller, and haven't quite done as much work also, versus the larger ones, it does take a larger contractor to be able to do all that work in one summer.
All right, thanks. Any other questions? All right, we are in public hearing on this item. Would anyone like to address the council on this item? Okay. Is there a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Motion by Kroll, second by Blake. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
Move to approve resolution 025-2023.
Motion by Kroll. Second by Blake. Discussion, please vote. It passes.
Move to approve resolution 026-2023.
Motion by Kroll,
Second.
second by McBurney. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
And motion to approve resolution 027-2023.
Motion by Kroll, second by Blake. Discussion, please vote. All right, that passes. Item 8 is to establish public hearings versus item 8.1 to establish the public hearing for the 28E agreement on the sanitary sewer project coordination and connection with the city of Waukee. John, answer any questions there? John, do you have anything to
I
add?
got a presentation. I'll just run
Okay.
through just so you're a little
Yep.
more familiar before the public hearing. Again, this is part of a project that we're working with the city of Waukee. They want to do a sanitary sewer connection. So associated with that is 28E agreements, kind of outline the easements and everything involved with it. So just kind of let you know where it's at. This first one here, so Meredith Drive is on the top, Douglas is on the bottom, and then Warrior Lane in Waukee. And we got Alice's Road in Clive, and then 156th Street in Urbandale. So just kind of going a little closer to the Urbandale area. So again, Douglas is on the bottom, Meredith up here, and then 156th Street goes down the middle. So the roundabout is just off the screen. This area through here is where there's currently a sanitary sewer, and this is the area where Grimes is paralleling that currently that is under construction. So that's through this area, up through the park. And as we head to the west, there's currently a sanitary sewer that goes through Urbandale and then crosses over into Clive. Waukee's proposing to do a parallel sewer from Waukee through this area and connect up to the trunk sewers over here. So basically, there's two different 28Es. One is with Urbandale and Waukee, then another one that's called kind of the five-party agreement, because we've got Waukee, Urbandale, Clive, the sanitary sewer district, and then the Des Moines WRA. So the highlights of the Urbandale and Waukee agreement is basically it outlines the requirements for the temporary and permanent easements, and basically those will ultimately be transferred to the WRA. Waukee will be responsible for the news releases and the construction issues and dealing with things that happen throughout the project. And they also, as part of the project, will be doing some tree replacement and responsible for the final restoration. Urbandale's part will be, we'll do the inspection on the sections of trail that need replaced. And probably the biggest thing to note is Waukee recently purchased 9.4 acres, and we're going to end up purchasing that from them for $60,000 by December 1st. I'll show you that location in a minute here. Then a little bit about the project. It's under contract with Waukee, and we have a pre-construction meeting February 27th. Then we're also looking to do a public informational meeting with the surrounding neighborhoods on February 15th. That'll be joint with Waukee, Clive, and Urbandale. So here is the area I was talking about for the land purchase. So again, on the bottom is Douglas Parkway. Here's 142nd Street. So as I was showing, along the Bob Layton Trail is where the sewer currently runs through and then heads to the west. So Waukee purchased this property so they'd be able to bring their sewer through here. And in turn, we'll purchase that from Waukee so that, as you can see, there's a trail back here in the park, in the Bob Layton Trail here. This will allow us to make our connection across here. So it was one of the key last acquisitions for the park so we can make that trail connection. And then the five-party agreement, Urbandale doesn't have a big part in this agreement. It basically just reiterates that we'll provide the temporary and permanent easements through the park ground, and in turn, that'll be turned over to the WRA. And then ultimately, similar to with the Grimes sewer, the sewers that are for Grimes, the USSD, Waukee, and then the USSD that goes to the west, those will ultimately be turned over to the WRA, and they'll be responsible for owning and maintaining those sewers. So again, we're just looking to set a public hearing 2 weeks from tonight to look at these agreements.
What's the time frame on completion of the project?
I believe they plan to start on the Urbandale section and work west. We'll know more at the pre-con. I believe there's ultimately almost a two-year time frame There's more strict guidelines in Clive because they have a follow-up project that this needed to be done so they could do their project. So again, we plan to start with ours. We'll
The
just
Clive
see.
portion being west of Alice's Road.
Actually from our boundary west of 156th Street to Alice's Road and then a little further west, yes.
Will this be like the Grimes, would that, it'll basically take that trail out of commission for 2 years, or?
No, this one doesn't quite impact as much trail. One positive, move back here if I show it. Yeah. Right here on 156th Street, we've got the loop ramp that brings you under the bridge. That has to come out, but at the same time, we're gonna kind of, as part of the project, expand that, so try to make that more of a sweeping, easier curve. So there'll be a little bit of an improvement, but for the most part, it's hard to see on here, like the trails down here. This is just up and through the park area here. So, there's a few trees that come out, but to me, this one's maybe not nearly as disruptive as the Grimes sewer, just from where the sewer was originally constructed.
When do you think that Grimes project's gonna be done?
I don't know for sure.
No kidding. I
I know they're working away on it.
They sure are, but it sure doesn't look like they're doing a lot, but I don't really know what I'm looking for, so.
Yeah, it's a big pipe, and I guess the other part is, at least, like from Aurora South, they got the trail back in. I think they'll start putting a lot of trail back in the spring, and then things will start to look like it's coming together.
All right. Thank you, John. Any other questions on this?
What's the notification for the public meeting?
Basically, Waukee was doing it, each city provided their area, so we just kind of went in the general area that's adjacent to the project.
Like how far?
Let's see if, again, don't really have the great map, so we're 156th Street. I think we hit the Horizons Ridge neighborhood here and then hit the streets that back up to it, up and through this area here as well.
Okay.
All right. Is there a motion?
Move resolution 007-2023.
Motion by Albrecht. Second by Blake.
007, sorry.
007. Second by Blake. Any further discussion? If not, please vote.
That was a bond resolution.
That passes. Item 8.2 is to establish a public hearing for the proposed property tax levy. AJ, anything further to add? Or?
This is our standard timeframe in which, pardon me, we set the public hearing in accordance with all the state regulations for publication for the tax levy, which would be set at $10.01. But just as a reminder, the public hearing and the notification is just on those levies that have maximums. So that will be at the total of $8.57. So that's the general fund, the police and retirement levies, and the employee benefit levies. So those have the maximums, but at the same time, the levy that as you pass this and hold your public hearing and ultimately pass it, will be at $10.01 as we discussed during budget.
Resolution 07-2023.
Motion by Blake,
Second.
second by McBurney. Discussion. Please vote. That passes. Then item 8.3 is to establish the public hearings for the general obligation bonds series 2023.
A series of actions that are obligatory under state law to issue debt for the projects that we've outlined in our CIP program.
Motion to approve resolution 029-2023.
Motion by McBurney,
Second.
second by Blake. Discussion, please vote. Passes.
Motion to approve resolution 030-2023.
Motion by McBurney. Second by Blake. Discussion, please vote. That passes.
Motion to approve Resolution 031-2023.
By McBurney, second by Blake. Discussion, please vote. Passes.
And motion to approve Resolution 032-2023.
By McBurney. Second by Blake. Discussion, please vote.
Let our smallest bond fail.
Yeah. All right, and that passes. All right, thank you. That takes us to item 9, regular agenda items versus item 9.1, the third reading of the mailbox ordinance. John, do you have any further comments from anybody? Nope.
I'll move approval of ordinance 2022-22.
Okay. Motion by Carberry Montgomery, second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. All right, that item passes. Item 9.2 is to have the Urbandale Fire Department strategic plan, and Chief Holt's here to present that tonight. Chief, do you have anything further? Do you want to present that?
Mayor, Council, thank you for the opportunity to be here. This is our strategic plan, which is part of the accreditation effort. It says we have to have a current strategic plan every 5 years. We were moving along in that process, and our last strategic plan expired at the end of December of last year. So this will just make that, meet that, that need to fulfill that process so we can continue moving forward with accreditation. Be happy to answer any questions.
All right.
Just out of curiosity, who participated in the strategic plan portion of it? Was it just leadership? Like who? And I'm sure it was in here. I apologize if it was, but just who participated during it?
I'm sorry, sir.
Who participated in the strategic plan development?
Who participated?
Yeah.
Okay, so we had a group within the department, then we had a part where we reached out to the public to invite them to participate, as well as elected officials as well. So our goal was to get as much participation in that as we possibly could. Unfortunately, you don't always get a lot from the public, but there were some people there.
Sure. 3 of us were there one night.
And we appreciate all y'all that showed up and your participation. And I feel bad saying that because I was in Hawaii when y'all were there doing that.
Yeah, you feel real bad.
All right, thanks, Chief. Any further questions? All right. Motion.
Move to approve Council Letter 7326.
Motion by Kroll, second by McBurney. Discussion, please vote. That passes. All right, then item 9.3 is consider the equipment purchase for the mobile ventilation unit. Chief?
Yes, this is a process that's been before you several times. Matter of fact, a couple of years ago, we brought it forward in the shape of a grant that we proposed, and we got 9 other fire departments to participate with us to pursue this grant. This is a piece of equipment that is used to ventilate large structures like warehouses and things like that. It's infrequent use, but certainly important when you need it. But we figured it'd be best to fund that through a grant process where we had multiple partners to help us with that. So there were 10 departments counting us. Unfortunately, we were unable to secure that grant. In the process of pursuing the grant, we also pursued the CIP to include that, so you heard about it through the CIP process as well. So we finally got word 2 months ago that our grant was not funded, and that's when we moved forward with the purchase of the fan. The fan was a range of from $275,000 to the low bid of $191,000, and the low bid represents a fan that's a demonstration fan. Our attraction to that is both price and the low hours on this particular fan was less than 30 hours on it. So we still think we're able to get the maximum equipment with the least amount of cost. Unfortunately, not all of our 10 partners or 9 partners are still in it with us. Some cities have dropped out of participation because of budget issues. So the city of Des Moines, the city of Norwalk, and Windsor Heights have all are not participating as we move forward in this process. The final cost will be dependent upon how many participants we have when we finalize the memo of understanding. I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Chief. Any questions for Chief? Not? Get a motion.
I'll move approval of Council Letter 7324.
Motion by Carberry Montgomery, second by Blake. Discussion, please vote. Okay, that passes. Thank you. Item 9.4 is to consider the professional services agreement for the Lions Park splash pad design, and to present this is our Assistant Parks and Rec Director, Scott Hoke. Scott?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Scott Hoke with the Parks and Recreation Department, here to go over our request for proposals for design services. This isn't the design, this is just to find a firm that is going to help us get the perfect design for the space that we have available down there at Lions Park. A little bit of background for everyone's understanding. The wading pool that was originally down there by the shelter was removed in 2021. In that, we knew we were going to do some things in Lions Park, so we hired a firm to complete a master plan for us. As council may remember, we brought that forward in October. We did receive a lot of great public input, stakeholder meetings online on different things within the park, but also had some information in regards to just kind of the look and feel of the splash pad area. And then this is the first phase really through the CIP process. A little bit of a reminder, this is the initial phase for the master plan at Lions Park, and you can see the splash pad was identified there in pretty close to its previous location to the old wading pool, which makes a lot of sense based on the utility lines that are running in there. So a couple images of that as we move forward. Timetable for the splash pad project, pending council approvals tonight for the agreement. We're going to plan to meet with the design firm later this week with a plan of hoping to bid the project out later this spring. But of course, this would require a public hearing because of the size, so it would come before council again at that time, with hopefully construction commencing in the fall with an opening in the spring of 2024 is the goal. We had 4 firms submit proposals, all of various different prices. Staff is recommending Snyder and Associates be selected to provide the design services for the Lions Park splash pad. And I would be happy to answer any questions. These are just conceptual images. These aren't the final images. I can see AJ looking at them already. So, okay.
And I guess that'd be one of my questions is, it seems like we kind of have 2 different types of splash pads that exist. There's kind of the artistic splash pad and there's the whimsical colored splash pad. Is there any design preference that we're telling them we want to look at?
Yeah, so a lot of what we got from feedback from the initial was it probably is a little more of a natural feel being in the park setting that it's in. But the main thing is water movement is very important, right? And getting those options for water movement, some above head, some at ground level, again, deals with different ages as you're dealing with that. So of course, we will have some color in there. Part of the design is to include some shade structures as well too. So all of that will really liven up that space within the park. So, and then of course, we know that there are some larger activities in the park, 4th of July, for example, and we need to be able to integrate that into it as well.
I would love to see some big PR right now that we've approved this moving forward. But
He's probably listening, I am sure.
yeah, so I'm really excited about this. I'm excited that we're going to have some water play areas, hopefully several in our community. And I really want people to know that we're starting at Lions Park.
Yes, this is a great trend to begin, and it's great to do at Lions Park, one of our most well-established parks.
So can I move approval?
You can move approval.
I would love to move approval of Council Letter 7336.
Motion by Carberry Montgomery,
Second.
second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. And that passes. Yep. All right. Item 9.5 is consider the bids for the Parkview Creek Trail Reconstruction Phase 1. John?
Okay, and these are our bids for our Parkview Creek Trail Repair Project. Last Wednesday, February 1st, we did receive 10 bids for this project. We're recommending the low bid of Omega Solutions in the amount of $138,276.50. Their low bid was approximately $39,000 or 22% less than our engineer's estimate. What we'll be doing is replacing the existing asphalt trail with an 8-foot wide, 5-inch thick PCC concrete trail with a length of approximately 1,950 feet. We anticipate the project being completed by September 1st, and to kind of show where it's at. So we have Meredith on the north, Parkview Drive is over here on the east. As we're coming down, this is the fairway, so we'll go behind the fairway and then continue east over to Parkview as the first phase of our replacement project. With that, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Thanks, John. Any
How
questions?
come this project, I mean, we haven't seen low estimates or low bids compared to our estimates like this?
Actually, trails last year were all well below
Okay.
ours. So trails came in well last year for us, and they seem to be so
Okay.
far here.
But I guess I just noticed a lot of similar contractors for this project than our PCC. So I didn't know if concrete prices were getting better or they just like this project better. I don't know.
And I'm not really sure why all our trails seem to come in a little better last year than our others. We'll have a little better idea in another week when we do our Aurora bids, where we're doing the reconstruction and the patching to kind of see how those come as well. Also, some of these, again, there's always a little fear, and it could be our estimates are a little higher too, because you just never know. You know, we're fortunate, and we have, I think, six or seven bids, and we had like 46 bidders total last Wednesday, where some of these projects that had 10, which we'll talk about the culvert, we were expecting maybe 2 or 3 might be all we see, and there's just a lot of interest to remove an old culvert.
The portion of trail that kind of goes up to 82nd and Iltis Drive up there, you know, north of the road last year, the neighbors came to us and said, why didn't you connect everything in the neighborhood? There seems to be a sidewalk type connection through there. Is that sidewalk in good shape? We don't need to touch it? Is that what was
That's
assumed?
my understanding, is that correct? Yep.
Yeah.
Because there is a small, you don't see it, there is
Yeah.
a small little piece that we're connecting, but not the whole run up through there. But again,
Correct. We did go back and look at it, and both at the entry point and that point, we did extend it a little farther to pick up a couple pieces that needed to be replaced, but the rest was in decent shape for sidewalks, for sure, so.
All right. Any questions?
I'll move approval of Council Letter 7304.
A second.
Motion by Cartwright Montgomery, second by Blake. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 9.6 is consider the bids for the 100th Street culvert removal. John?
So again, we're removing the culvert on 100th Street between Hickory Lane and Oakwood Drive. So last Wednesday, when we bid this project, again, not maybe the most exciting project, but 10 bidders, a lot more than we anticipated on this one. So basically, we're recommending the low bid of Wenthold Excavating, the amount of $79,250. Their bid was $70,750, or roughly 47% less than our engineer's estimate. We're anticipating this work would be done by May 5th. So a little bit about where the project and how it came about. Here is Meredith and Plum Drive. 100th Street used to go straight through in this area, but it was in the 90s. A traffic study was done, and it was decided that to build the diagonal Northwest Urbandale Drive up to the interstate would be a better way to circulate traffic, and that this piece of 100th Street could be removed. So when development happened, 100th Street was removed, but this culvert that's at the east end of the park still remained there. Basically, over the years now, there's just starting to be some issues with the top collapsing and stuff. It's not bad, but where we want, just for safety reasons, remove the culvert. So with this project, here's the culvert. They'll end up removing the culvert, and then through riprap and some grading, they'll just reestablish the creek channel that was there. So with that, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
All right. Questions?
Motion to approve.
Council Letter 7316.
Motion by Obrecht.
Second.
Second by McBurney. Discussion, please vote. That passes. Item 9.7 is consider the bids for the 2023 ADA Improvements Program. John?
Yep, so these are bids for the ADA Improvement Program. So again, last Wednesday, we received bids. On this one, we received 7 bids. We're recommending the low bid of Brothers Concrete in the amount of $85,979.30. They're also the same contractor doing our smaller PCC patch program. Their bid was approximately $15,000 or 15% less than our engineer's estimate. There's a total of 8 intersections that will be rebuilding the ADA ramps. So there'll be a total of 540 square yards of sidewalks and ramps being replaced. We're anticipating it being done by September 23rd. So in the red circles, you can see the different locations. They're a little more scattered than usual, but
We
brought
can't
it
see anything.
128th and Doug.
We can't see anything right now.
Sorry.
That was an eye test.
I forgot to check up there. So again, we're out at 128th and Douglas through the area, and then furthest east is over at Sutton Drive and Merle Hay. And with that one, we're working with the city of Des Moines and DART. They would like to add a bus stop there, so we're getting the ramps and everything set up over there for it. With that, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
All right. How many more of these do we have to do yet?
I believe, they said you have to update it every 15 years, and we first started in 17, so we have quite a few more years.
All right.
Move council letter 7328.
Motion by Obrecht,
Second.
second by Kroll. Discussion, please vote. That passes. And item 9.8 is considered the bids for the 2022 sidewalk repair program. John?
Yep, so again, this is our sidewalk repair program. A little background, the reasons to 22 project is we contact the property owners in 2022. They're allowed to make the repair themselves. So if they do not, then we do the repairs in 2023. So it was last Wednesday, we received 5 bids for this project. And we're recommending the low bid of Shakar Engineering in the amount of $55,914. They were approximately 4,000 or 7% less than our estimate. This year we'll be doing repairs at 92 locations. 4 of those are the city's responsibility, and we're looking to be completed by September 8th. To kind of show where things are at, here is Meredith Drive, and then here is Douglas. So between Meredith and Douglas, for the most part, east of 100th Street. And we got one lone one out here by the roundabout that we're getting put in.
Thank you.
I guess there's one more that's right out front here by the steps that we're also getting repaired. So with that, I'd be glad to answer any questions.
It's amazing the things that give us joy. So thank you. I'll move council letter 7329.
Motion by Obrecht.
Second.
Second by Blake. Discussion, please vote. All right, that passes. All right, that takes us to the end of the agenda. Mayor and council items. Amy?
I just want to say thank you for the council, to the council and to staff for grace and support last month. And then congrats to the Johnston basketball girls for winning the CIML conference.
All right, thanks, Amy. Larry?
Only thing I'll bring up is I know the American Legion is doing a food drive on Saturday, February 18th from 9 to 5. So if anyone wants to come out and support it, bring some food. It'll go to the Urbandale Food Pantry, and yeah, any donations, food or anything.
At post 663, they're going to be there?
Yep, right over there in Douglas, 68th and Douglas.
Yep.
When is that again?
That is February 18th from 9 to 5.
Okay,
That's all I got.
all right, thanks, Larry.
I guess I have a question for AJ or whomever can answer it. Have we done a review of the new legislation coming from the Senate when it comes to property taxes? Have we looked at that yet? I have not, but I was just curious.
Which legislation? Give us a little background.
The Senate released last week, their version of the legislation related to property taxes. And if I had to read the tea leaves, it would be, that's the more likely than the House version, which was HF1, which was the freeze on property tax assessments, to be the one that moves forward. It was 2, the one that took the lost funds away, and then the other one,
11 something. Yeah,
yeah,
we,
24,
Yes.
23.
we've read them. They are, I'm trying to
I
think.
should have given you a heads up. I
No,
apologize.
I'm just trying to think, because as you read through them, there is a reallocation, if I'm thinking about the same one, there's actually 2 that came out. One was really to square away the rollback issue. And so that was the one that they were going to give more time and for the assessors and for everybody an extra 2 weeks to certify your budget. That one, that was, that die was set, so we really, it was just a matter of them getting to it and voting on it. We don't believe that, from a staff perspective, the action you took tonight to set your public hearing for the budget really isn't going to affect it and to affect that process. And where it's going to be more of an issue for discussion by council will be next year, when you have those numbers which are known in advance, and then we'll have, obviously, discussion when we put the budget together. The one that you're referencing, and again, read through it a number of times, is essentially the reallocation of the local option sales tax, and then, if I'm not mistaken, a cap on the revenue growth. We're waiting for that to kind of get, I won't say more finalized, but we were told by a couple sources that the House has really no interest in dealing with that specific language. So based on the contact I had last Friday, it was, you may not want to get overly excited. Now, something, and this is going to sound very parochial, something unpleasant to cities is going to happen when it comes to our revenue streams as we know it now. And I do believe that there's going to be something that happens with local option sales tax and the reallocation of that to cover the water resource program that was voted in 2010 by the residents, and then how they're going to implement essentially a statewide sales tax that incorporates the local option sales tax that most cities and counties have now. Much like they did when the school districts all, essentially, I think almost all of them passed that. They took the sales tax from 5% to 6%, and I think they're just going to take this to 7%. I think it was, some of the language was beginning January 1st, 2024 through January 1st of 2050, that 7% would remain in effect, and they had a distribution through that. So we've looked at it, but again, some of the sources that we have contacts with said, let's see what happens here in the next week or so. So we have taken a peek at it.
I think we've got some preliminary things from the League of Cities as well, and I think there's a 411 bill too that we need to take a look at too.
Yeah, that one is essentially expands the eligibility for officers to file for disability, I think upwards to 5 years after retirement, if I'm not mistaken. So that was one that caught our attention as well.
Say there seems to be at least one positive one in ability to create an entertainment district, and
That was in there as well.
which might be something we need to look at on the eastern part if that happens.
Right. Most of our focus has been on for the property tax and for sales for local option sales tax for our internal review.
I'm going to be reviewing these a little bit in depth tomorrow. I need to do that. I haven't really spent much time with it, but I am meeting with Senator Zahn on Thursday just to get some background information on what might be coming down. So I'll keep you informed on that as well. So.
Other than that, I'll just kind of keep putting a bug in the ear about having a meeting on paid family leave and starting discussions on that. Again, I'll pester that until
We have that on our schedule for Lunch and Learn. I think Nicole helps keep me straight on our Lunch and Learn topics. Did we put that out?
hopefully not next week.
No, yeah, not next week. March or April?
We tentatively have that scheduled for the April 11th.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, so we didn't forget it.
Well, that's what I'm here for, is just
I
be a
understand.
friendly nudge.
We appreciate that.
So, all right, thank you.
I think I read, is the state, or someone is considering that, and I thought I took a screenshot. She is. Okay. So we got to keep up with that.
The state passes it.
Okay, thanks, man. Adam?
Passed along to our Metro Waste representative, dropped off some hazardous materials today. Cost me a whole $4, so thank you to Metro Waste and making that work well and cleaning out a shed full of chemicals that didn't need to be there. And then the other was when we opened up our League of City magazine, saw the article on Urbandale and the use of youth in our parks. And one of those projects, the Eagle Scout, is getting his recognition February 26th. So it's nice to see the internal recognition on the heavily read Cityscape magazine.
I didn't get mine.
You can get yours?
Sure.
Bridget?
Had our monthly DART commission meeting today. As always, enjoy my time with DART. They are struggling with the implications of, state actions or inactions right now. I mentioned at our budget workshop, the budget they were projecting, I thought it was about 5 cents. We're looking at, we were looking at a reduction of about 4 cents for Urbandale, but assuming the implementation of Senate File 181, that'll go down to about 2.5 cents reduction in our levy. We're working very hard to find alternative funding streams. The current situation that is being proposed by Senator Dawson and the Ways and Means Committee is related to basically communities over 200,000, which is Des Moines, being able to increase their franchise fees from 5% to 7.5%, with that additional 2.5% going to transit-related expenses. So that would, the Des Moines City Council would have to approve that, and that would only be a temporary fix for our long-term budget situation. So there's lots of things going on at the state level and at the Des Moines City Council table that will impact DART. We could be looking at significant service reduction, but I don't think we're quite ready to start articulating those. But we will be having a reduction in our property taxes, so that's a good thing. FY21, we were at 71.2 or 71.2, and now we'll be at a 63.1. So, less than 10 cents, but we're counting every penny these days. So, DART is doing what it can. That's all I have right now.
Okay, thank you, Bridget. I just have a few things to also fill in on related to City of Des Moines and maybe increases or decreases or whatever. As MPO, I think I've alluded, I'm chair this year, and I think I've alluded that we've had some issues regarding some philosophical discussions among members about the scope of the MPO and what it should be doing and not doing. And there was talking to Todd Ashby, and if there is a true movement to reduce the scope of what the MPO does, that will have a negative impact on the MPO's ability to raise funds as far as being able to subsidize our levy rate. And so we may be seeing a dues increase with the MPO as well. So stay tuned on that. We're going through our budget tomorrow at the executive committee on that, and that'll go to the policy meeting. So there's just been a push primarily from Polk County and Des Moines to strictly have MPOs work on transit-related things and not on other third-party contracts where we can raise money to effectively subsidize the cost of the MPO operations, and so.
What sort of contracts do you guys take on?
Housing study contracts primarily. So there's a real push by several council members in Des Moines and a couple, and the Polk County supervisor that's on the MPO to not do that, too.
What's the rationale of why?
That the MPO should stick to transit and not get into other items of work beyond strictly transit.
And then who would do those studies?
Well, it's a good question. So we had a special 4-hour meeting to go over it. There is a real philosophical divide among the MPO right now. So we're not done yet, but just, I'll keep you informed on that, so.
The MPO serve as our cog, doesn't it? Our
No,
consultant?
well, it's not a cog, and that's been a bone of contention too, that a cog has been a very negative term in the Des Moines region, so it does act a lot of ways like a cog, but it's not truly a cog, so.
Council of Governments, I'm putting my planner hat back
Yeah,
on,
yeah.
but they serve as a planning entity for, multi-county regions outside of Des Moines area. And in my knowledge, they do transportation and housing and, solid waste and things like that. So that's why I asked the
Yeah,
question.
no, it's a good question, Bridget, but it has a negative tone for a lot of folks in the Des Moines area as far as whether or not we should be a cog, the MPO should be a cog or not, so. Anyway, I can get into that in a lot more detail. I can spend a couple hours on that discussion. Anyway, just stay tuned. I'm doing what I can on that, but that role has been taking a lot of my time this year as well, so. And then just a reminder, Thursday at 6 PM, there's another informational meeting at Walnut Creek Elementary School, Walnut Hills Elementary
School
excuse
on
me,
156.
Walnut Hills Elementary, yes, thank you. At 156 at 6 PM, so that's the second of 4, and we have another 2, I can't remember when the other 2 dates are.
Next week,
I think there's one Monday at the
2?
senior center.
I think.
Scott, do you have that?
It's the 6th.
Yeah, so one Monday after lunch at the senior center, and then the other one would be Thursday in the evening at Webster Elementary School.
Yep. There we go, thank you.
I've attended several smaller meetings with Jan, PTO meetings. The project's been well-received. Jan is getting very good at, not that we ever doubted her, but whether she has an hour to go like she did at the meeting at the library, or she has 10 minutes, she's getting very good at this presentation.
All right, that's all I have, so we are at the end of our agenda. We stand adjourned. Thank you, everyone.